Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Video Vinyl Spotlight. I am your host, Rich from richdgmono, and today, what do we have? Well, I haven't been buying a lot of records lately, but the collecting bug caught me a few weeks ago, and I hopped online and was snooping around for a few reissues of records I've been growing more and more fond of through streaming services like Spotify and stuff like that. And one of them is the record I'm going to talk about today, and I have that record right here. It is Joe Henderson's In and Out. The records that have been on my mind the last few weeks that I've been listening to a lot, and actually this all started maybe sometime in the middle of last year, the summer of last year, really got into Wayne Shorter and Joe Henderson a lot more than I was ever before. I just feel like I'm kind of like getting really comfortable with hard bop as a form. I'm feeling like I'm prepared and maybe brave enough to sort of try to tackle post bop. You know, like artists like Henderson, Shorter, McCoy Tyner, that have that more post-bop leaning, whose music has always, in my mind, had a certain complexity to it that wasn't really as accessible as a lot of hard bop artists, Horace Silver, for example. You know, it always kind of was a little off-putting for that reason. So at a certain point, you know, I was just kind of digging into these post-bop Blue Note albums, especially because I love the recordings themselves by Rudy Van Galder. A lot of those were done at a time when he started actually using baffles at Englewood Cliffs around 1963. The room sound, the ambiance of the recordings, it becomes a lot more like a smaller room sound that's a lot more like Hackensack, which is, you know, one of my favorites. In '64, he was doing some pretty aggressive mixing. I think it had a lot to do with the radio appeal of a lot of those tracks, like the Sidewinder and Song for My Father. But definitely by '65, I think that the sound got much smoother and more mellow. And it's possible that the music got smoother and more mellow too. At least the albums that appeal to me. Bobby Hutcherson's Components comes to mind. And I knew that Joe Henderson and Wayne Shorter were a big part of this era of Blue Note. And so I started checking out their albums and giving them more attention. The reason I ended up seeking this album was mainly for the second song on the first side, Punjab. You know, what I would typically do is make a playlist on Spotify and shuffle it. It'll be like a 2-hour playlist maybe or something, and I'll play it a few times a week for a couple weeks. And what I'll do is that when a song comes around again and it catches my ear, I think, oh, I like this song, and then I'll heart it. You know, I'll tag it as a favorite. And then what will eventually happen is I'll put those into like I'll start to combine playlists, and then I'll start to focus more on those songs that caught my ear. And Punjab was one of those songs. I mean, I absolutely loved the smooth sound of this song, the beautiful melody of it, and the harmonies that are created in it. Punjab, of course, being written by Joe Henderson. 3 of the 5 songs on this album were written by Joe Henderson, and the last 2 by the trumpeter on the album, Kenny Dorham, who, if you're a Blue Note fan, a Henderson fan, you definitely know how tight those 2 were when Henderson first started recording for Blue Note in the early and mid-'60s. The truth is that I don't know a ton about Henderson and his discography on Blue Note. I know what all the albums are, but I don't always think about what the succession of them is, and normally that's something I'm a geek about. But, you know, I wanted to get on and talk about this record today because everything about this record, in terms of like the quality of the reissue, the quality of the recording, the performances, the jacket itself, the quality of the vinyl and the pressing, from Optimal in Germany, because this is the 80th anniversary reissue. You know, I was just so overwhelmingly satisfied with it. These 80th anniversary and these classic series Blue Notes, they're outstanding. I mean, I am just so happy with them. I mean, so what happened with this one is that it's actually sort of out of print right now. It's hard to find, and there was a seller on eBay that said they had like 5 copies of a Joe Henderson record on vinyl. It was just like a generic stock photo, and it didn't say anything about 80th anniversary. And I sent them a message on eBay and I said, is there any chance that you could confirm that this is the 80th anniversary? And I sent them a link to the Discogs page. And they said, sorry, we can't do that, but the UPC in the details in the listing should match the item correctly. And so I checked out the UPC, and it was the one for the 80th anniversary. So I took a chance on it, and when it got to my door, lo and behold, that's what it was. As a record, as a vinyl record, as a product, as a collecting piece, this is just, it's beautiful. I mean, the printing is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. Very, very sharp. Well done. Nice colors. Like I said earlier, these are pressed at Optimal in Germany. And when I put this down on the turntable for the first time, I didn't even clean it. And it sounded great. It was really quiet. It was a little staticky. And what I eventually did was I put it through the spin clean to sort of like get rid of the static. And that worked well. So yeah, these new records I usually clean, if anything, just for getting that static out of it. Optimal has just been really impressive to me, and I highly recommend the Blue Note 80th Anniversary and Classic Series reissues for that reason, and of course because you get that tremendous Kevin Gray mastering. As far as the recording goes, it's from that era of Englewood Cliffs. It's a really beautiful recording. The one thing I would have maybe done different than Rudy did at that time is that he seemed to get a little too excited about having a microphone on the bass drum. And sometimes I feel like the bass drum's a little too present in the mix, but yeah, I just was very enthusiastic about this purchase, and I just wanted to share it with you all, and highly recommend this pressing, specifically the Blue Note 80th Anniversary. There might be a few more still on eBay under that listing if you're interested. So I guess that's all that I'm going to do for today, and I will see you all next time.